UN Chief António Guterres expressed disappointment that so far no trucks have entered the Rafah border crossing to Gaza on the 20th of October. Rafah, Egypt. Urgently needed aid trucks for Gaza were stranded on Egyptian side of the Rafah crossing point on Friday. The situation left him heartbroken. United Nations Secretary-General António Guterres said during a brief and chaotic visit to highly militarized region. ArrowRight President Biden announced a deal flow aid to the besieged region during his high-profile visit Israel. But discussions about the terms continued days later. We are witnessing a paradox behind these walls. There are 2 million people suffering tremendously. Water, food, medicine, fuel. This place is under fire. It needs everything to survive, Guterres said. On this side we saw many trucks loaded with water, fuel, medicine and food, the same things needed on this side of the wall. It's impossible to be here and not feel a broken heart, he said. UN officials had hoped Guterres' media tour on Friday would coincide with trucks starting to cross the border. A moment of triumph and relief after days of high-level, high-stakes diplomacy in Cairo and Tel Aviv. Instead, Guterres found himself confronted by stalled trucks and angry Egyptian aid workers frustrated at waiting to deliver aid to Palestinians just a few miles away. In a demonstration openly sanctioned and seemingly organized by Egyptian authorities, aid workers waving Palestinian and Egyptian flags chanted, "We stand with Gaza," while the exhausted soldiers watched. The aid convoy and difficult deal to get it across the border represent beginning of efforts to ensure a steady flow of relief supplies into Gaza. On Saturday, Egyptian officials plan to host a peace summit that Guterres will attend before returning to New York. At a meeting with European Union's top envoys in Washington, Biden suggested aid would start moving on Saturday or Sunday and blamed need to repair very poor roads for delays. But Palestinians in Gaza told Washington Post that it would be extremely dangerous for them to distribute aid without continuing Israeli airstrikes on the coastal enclave, including areas to south that Israel has said would be considered safe zones. Israeli military spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said in briefing on Friday that Israeli aircraft are in Gaza at a rate not seen in decades ahead of the next phase of operations that is expected to include ground offensive. In accordance with agreement reached with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Biden said that 20 trucks will be allowed to cross the border and enter besieged Gaza Strip. In his statement on Friday, he once again emphasized his commitment to the agreement, saying, "The people of Gaza urgently need food, water and medicine. That's a tiny fraction of more than 200 trucks ready to deliver supplies to Gaza from the United Nations, Egyptian Red Crescent and other sources." Guterres said details of Ho.